Okay, let us begin. We are moving into kitchen utensils. This is the start of the quarter, and so we'll be covering equipment and what you need to learn about the equipment you use in your foods lab. So, Chapter 23, Kitchen Utensils and Appliances. In this chapter, you'll learn about kitchen utensils, cookware and bakeware, small appliances, large appliances. This just goes over the objectives, pretty much of being able to identify basic kitchen utensils, differentiate between cookware and bakeware, and explain their uses, and describe the purpose of common kitchen appliances. So this is a list of words that you should know: utensil, spatula, serrated knife, tongs, ladle, colander, cookware, bakeware, double boiler, skillet, appliance, portable appliance, and major appliance. Kitchen utensils. So utensil is defined as a handheld, hand-power tool used to prepare food. The question is what is the most commonly used utensil in your classroom? Or in your kitchen? Most people use things like can opener, a whisk, a knife, maybe a paring knife or a peeler. This visual here is everything from ladles to slotted spoons to turners, even fish spatulas, or called spiders, and skimmers and forks. Measuring utensils. Spatula, a narrow utensil used to level dry ingredients in dry measuring cups and measuring spoons. Now, they're actually referring here to the straight edge spatula, which is seen here. Please note, this spatula is not like what you refer to as a silicone spatula or the scraper. It's also used to add frostings to cakes. Measuring utensils, dry measuring cups used to measure dry ingredients such as flour and sugar. As we'll discuss in class, there is a vast difference between the dry measuring cup and the liquid measuring cup, and it involves mass versus volume. And no, 1 cup liquid is not the same as 1 cup dry. You'll find that out, and it impacts your food. What we're looking at here are dry measuring cups of different types. Liquid measuring cup. Most liquid measuring cups anymore are see-through. There are actually some solid ones that were used in the professional kitchen. They measure in fluid ounces. Now, measuring spoons are the only universal that are used both for dry and for liquid. They measure in smaller increments. Now, most measuring spoons come in the standard set of 1 tablespoon, 1 teaspoon, 1/2 teaspoon, 1/4 teaspoon. And sometimes you can also get 1/3. Okay, so we're dealing with cutting here. Serrated blade. A serrated blade is a blade with a sawtooth edge. We tend to use this a lot for cutting bread. Paring knife. Paring knives are very small knives used for smaller foods. They tend to be used to remove the peelings or outer skin, or very small cuts like on garlic. So for the mince. The chef knife. The chef knife is the all-purpose knife used for cutting or dicing. There are 2 different types of chef knives. There's the French or European chef knife, and then there is the Japanese Asian chef knife, which is known as the Santoku. Again, we'll follow up with more information on that. For the most part, the same method of using the knives are universal. The chef knife is probably the most important knife that you could ever have. Everything else, toys, equipment like slap chops, useless. Sorry to those who their family sell Pampered Chef, but you don't need any of that stuff. Okay, cutting boards, surface to cut on. Now these boards here, the wooden ones, the only thing I would cut on that would be probably bread and maybe some dessert items. I would definitely not use it for meats. The peeler removes outer skin. Kitchen shears. They are different than scissors. Scissors have longer blades. They do not have a beveled edge, and they also cannot be taken apart. Also, notice circle on this set of kitchen shears. They come with a little like blade inside and a circle. That circle is used to crack nuts and strip the flesh off of bones, let's say chicken. What you see here is a no-no. Do not ever let me see that. Can opener? Yep, that's what it does. The grater, the box grater, by the definition, is to shred into fine pieces. That is what the grater does. Now, the grater isn't just for cheese. You can grate lettuce. You can grate carrots for salads. Blender, a mixing appliance consisting of a container with a propeller-like blade at the bottom that are whirled by a high-speed motor to puree, chop, mix, and even many of them can go well beyond that. In fact, there's a blender out there now that is supposed to be able to heat up food as it cuts as well as it chops everything. So that's pretty cool. Mixing utensils, mixing bowls to combine ingredients. Yeah. Large spoons, used to stir. Wooden spoons. I know you may see these in commercials or movies, or the Italian mom or grandma is tasting the tomato sauce off the wooden spoon. Don't do that. You're adding your germs into the spoons. Rubber spatulas to stir and to mix. Most times with rubber spatulas or silicone spatulas are used to scrape the insides of containers and bowls. Rubber spatulas are low temperature, so they're not made for anything of high heat. Let's say dealing with caramel sauces, other hot liquids, while a silicone spatula can actually go directly into a saucepan, touching boiling liquids. Pastry blender. Please note here, the pastry blender is a horseshoe-shaped item with a series of blades on it. They're nothing too sharp, but what the pastry blender does is it breaks down the fat solids into fine pieces into the flour without actually breaking it down and mushing it. When making biscuits and pie crusts, you want to maintain an element of a firm fat within there. That's actually how you get the flaky biscuits and the flaky pie crusts. Sifters, they take the lumps out of flour. These coffee can looking things. Also, sifters are great for decorating garmage, decorating plates. Let's say for desserts, adding a little powdered sugar to the top. Rotary beaters. This is technically called an egg beater. I don't fully understand them because there's a big metal wire that prevents them from touching the eggs at the bottom. So I call them useless. Don't use them. They're garbage. Stand mixer. Your KitchenAid mixers used to mix food. There's a difference between the stand mixer and the hand mixer. I think you could probably figure it out. The stand mixer is larger, it's heavier, and it sits on the countertop. It's pretty hands-free. While the hand mixer is what you hold in your hand, and then you put it in a bowl. Hand mixers have less power than stand mixers. So if you're trying to mix a dough, do not use a hand mixer for that. Hand mixers are for your light batters, like brownie batter. Tongs used to turn or lift foods. In the professional kitchen, cooks use tongs nearly as much as their chef knife. We don't use spatulas to turn meat, your hamburgers or your steaks and stuff like that. We work with tongs. Tongs are an extension of your hand, and they give you far more control. So you'll be expected to do that as well. Those are for canning or jams. Ladles, large deep spoons used to serve punches, soups, and liquids and stews. Also, they're used for portion control on anything that's a liquid because they are measured out in ounce increments. The kitchen fork, the meat fork. The only time to properly use them is at a carving station. So once the meat is already done, it's rested, the blood internally has equalized throughout, and it's no longer at risk to bleeding out on the plate. So when you go through a big buffet carving station, that's when you use them. This is the wide spatula or turner. They're good for grilled cheese sandwiches, pancakes, things like that, but they do not give you control. I don't want to see you use them with anything with oils because it will cause a splatter. This fuzzy one is actually, it's a fish spatula, so it's used for delicate fish items. Colander, a bowl with many holes used for draining liquid from food. There is a difference between a colander, a sieve, a chinois, and a strainer. The colander we tend to use that more for pasta, big items. Strainer and slotted spoon. We're still looking at a colander here. A strainer will be more fine mesh. It's usually of a wire. And yes, that is a slotted spoon. Food processor. Food processors are great. An appliance with an interchangeable blade within a closed container used for slicing, shredding, mincing, chopping, pureeing, and otherwise processing foods at high speed. You can do so much more than that. You can make pastry crusts. You can prepare all the ingredients for, let's say, a salad bar in seconds. You can grate pounds of cheese for nachos or a taco bar. Probably the food processor is one of my most favorite small appliances to work with. Bottle opener. Yep. That was a wine key, actually. Rolling pin, used to flatten dough. Timer. Yep, controls time. The one here, this thermometer, has a meat probe on it, so you stick it into the carcass, and then you run the line outside the oven door, and the actual mount where you see the digital reading has a magnet and it attaches to the face of the oven. So you can set it to a pre-programmed internal temperature, let's say for medium, medium rare, 40, 45 degree, and it will tell you, it will go off when it reaches that correct internal temperature. Those are the classic meat thermometers right there. Cookware, pots and pans used on top of the range to cook food. So everything, cookware is anything that goes on top of the stove. Your saute pans, your saucepans. Bakeware, items that are used in an oven. So baking casserole dishes, pizza pans, brownie pans, your 9x9, your cake pans, all of them. Muffins. Double boiler, a small pan that fits inside a larger pan. Think fondue, melting chocolate for strawberries. Skillets, pans that have a wide bottom and fairly low sides, are used mainly for frying and pan broiling. We use cast iron a lot for them. Okay, so moving on, we talked about the skillet. An appliance is a piece of kitchen equipment run by gas or electricity. Portable appliances are small kitchen appliances that can be easily moved from one place to another. So think of it this way. You can kind of just quickly pick it up and go. Although you can move a microwave, it's not necessarily the easiest piece of equipment. So it's not very portable. It may be small, but not fully portable. Okay. Large appliances, major appliances, the main cooking and food storage appliances in the kitchen, as well as dishwashers and trash compactors. All right, and that concludes this presentation.